Hello YouTube! Welcome to the Actuarial Nexus's video series on the Society of Actuaries Statistics for Risk Modeling exam. My name is Jeff Yang. I'm a fellow of the Society of Actuaries and the founder of the Actuarial Nexus. I'm also the author of the written exam SRM manual and all associated practice questions on the Actuarial Nexus site. We have plenty of free resources available to help you start preparing for Exam SRM, including free chapters, questions, and the comprehensive 100-page summary PDF with key concepts and formulas. In an effort to bring affordable and accessible education to the actuarial community, this video series is another completely free resource we're making available to candidates. Making these videos takes a lot of time and effort, so we appreciate your support and encouragement. To expedite the process, the voiceover in this series is read aloud from text via a text-to-speech engine. This allows us to get the videos out faster and more frequently. With that out of the way, let's start talking about Exam SRM. The Statistics for Risk Modeling exam, or Exam SRM, is a preliminary exam administered by the Society of Actuaries. It is comprised of 5 sections, including Basics of Statistical Learning, Linear Models, Time Series Models, Decision Trees, and Unsupervised Learning Techniques. Basics of Statistical Learning covers 5 to 10% of the syllabus and includes concepts such as variable definitions, bias-variance trade-off, and resampling methods like cross-validation. Linear Models covers most of the syllabus at 40 to 50%. The section begins with simple linear regression, ordinary least squares, and various goodness of fit metrics like mean squared error, residual sum of squares, and R-squared. The section also covers multiple linear regression, hypothesis testing, resampling methods, subset selection, influential points, heteroscedasticity, ridge regression, the lasso, generalized linear models, and much more. Time series models covers another 10 to 15% of the syllabus and covers key concepts concerning time series, starting with stationarity, the random walk, white noise, autocorrelation, AR1 models, smoothing, the unit root test, and forecasting. The 4th section is decision trees, which covers 20 to 25% of the syllabus. Topics include regression trees and classification trees, binary splitting and pruning, bagging, random forests, and other ensemble methods. Finally, the last section covers unsupervised learning techniques, which includes k-means clustering, hierarchical clustering, where relationships between clusters can be visualized as a dendrogram, and principal components analysis. So how difficult is Exam SRM? Of course, this is going to vary depending on the individual. However, one aggregate metric we can look at is the historic pass rates. The pass rates for Exam SRM are consistently around 70%. Exam P and Exam FM have pass rates of around 50%. A 70% pass rate is meaningfully higher than what you see on Exam P or FM or any other preliminary exam for that matter. Part of the reason might be because of the pass mark. The pass mark for Exam SRM has recently been around 63%, meaning you'll need to correctly answer roughly 22 of the 35 questions correctly to pass. Exam P and Exam FM have pass marks of around 71%. So in this regard, Exam SRM has a lower bar than P or FM. After completing Exam P and Exam FM, many students take either Exam SRM or Exam FAM. These exams lead into more advanced topics. SRM leads into Exam PA, while FAM leads into ASTAM and ALTAM. Even though both Exam SRM and Exam FAM have a similar number of questions, students generally report spending significantly less time studying for Exam SRM than for Exam FAM, primarily due to the sheer volume of material covered in FAM. Based on the learning objectives alone, there are twice as many learning objectives for FAM as there are for SRM. Relative to other actuarial exams, Exam SRM is more conceptual. Unlike Exam P and FM, the exam is known for its focus on theoretical understanding rather than calculations. This makes preparing for the exam unique and challenging. Past candidates have reported that Exam SRM ranges anywhere from 60% to 80% qualitative, with the remaining 40 to 20% being quantitative. Although grinding through practice questions will still help solidify your understanding of the material, it is generally recommended to also read through the study guides and source material, particularly ISLR, to understand the concepts in more depth. The Actuarial Nexus also has a written manual that is specifically written for the exam and is available for purchase on our website. Feedback from past candidates is positive, so it is definitely worth a read if you're looking for a comprehensive study resource that goes in more depth than this video series. Since the exam is mostly conceptual, we recommend candidates prioritize understanding concepts rather than memorizing the nuances of complicated formulas. You still need to know most of the formulas, but there are some that are unlikely to be tested. We'll cover this strategy in more detail shortly. Consistent with the SOA sample questions, there are 3 types of qualitative questions that you will encounter when going through practice questions. The first type asks you to identify the statement that is not true from the answer choices. Only one answer choice is not true. The second type asks you to identify the one statement that is true from the answer choices. The third type asks you to identify which statements are true from several statements provided in the question. You must select the answer choice that correctly identifies all true statements. For example, 1 and 2 are true, all 3 are true, or only statement 1 is true. For the quantitative portion, the difficulty is on par with the difficulty of the SOA sample questions, meaning that most of the calculations are designed to be straightforward. Math will still be needed to solve quantitative questions, but in most cases, these questions do not require you to memorize many of the complex formulas found at the end of Section 2, Linear Models, and Section 3, Time Series. I'll leave a link in the description below that covers all the topics and formulas that have a low chance of appearing on the exam. Some of these concepts are quite abstract and include lots of variables, making them more time-consuming to understand. As a result, the potential payoff from mastering these formulas is relatively low. However, it is still important to understand the concepts. For example, what is leverage? What is an arch model? But that should also be less time-consuming than knowing how to perform calculations using these formulas. Unlike quantitative questions, which have a clear right or wrong answer, qualitative questions are more subjective in nature. It also doesn't help that the exam sometimes directly uses text from the source reading, which can result in questions and answers that are aligned with the source material, but are potentially subjective in nature. In some cases, you will have to use your best judgment to understand what the question is asking for, which can be challenging, but improves with practice. This is also a useful skill to develop for written exams down the road, where open-ended responses are common. Fortunately, we've carefully designed all our learning materials, including all topics in this video series, to align with the source reading, so you can be confident that you're only learning relevant information. Sometimes we will pull in information from external sources, but that will only be to clarify a concept or provide additional context, not to alter the source language. I hope this video gets you started on your journey to passing Exam SRM. Exam SRM is a uniquely challenging exam, but with the right preparation, you can pass with confidence. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Good luck on your journey to becoming a credentialed actuary. Until next time, peace out.